What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over our tier list and explanations as to why we're rating heroes where, based on feedback from our previous list asking for reasoning. We got B certified, Top Flit, Marty Rivia, and I Cameron here, so we can give you some insight as to why we make these choices. So we're going to start with Rampage. Good talk.
You want Rampage for solo, I guess? Well, the reason why Rampage in solo is so good is because he
in S rank, double S.
In S rank, double S.
Double S.
Because right now wave clearing is very important, and he can equip Matchboard's ass, so it gives him good wave clear early game, and he has a regen built into his kit, which makes him good against anybody. So he's a safe lane pick, and the fact that his ult is so good to tower dive after they remove the scaling of the tower shots makes him a top pick in my opinion.
Also,
and he has a hard CC that is also instant in his ult.
Iggy's Tainted has been disabled this week as well, which usually Tainted is a counter to Rampage's regen. So when that's not in play, also Iggy's known to out push him pretty hard in the solo lane, and now that he can get Tainted and destroy the turrets almost immediately as well, Rampage just rises up to double S at this point. Might be different next week when Tainted's back in the game, or when it is.
Grim.
Alright, Grim is placed in B because he has slow wave clear, which is kind of really bad in the current meta, because you need to clear waves. Although Grim has self-heal, his self-heal is only really effective in 1v1s, and the current meta is all about fighters, and Grim is not the best against fighters because they tend to jump on him and he can't really get him off.
Even when Grim's trying to fight other carries as well in 1v1s, his hitbox is so big, it's kind of hard for him to kite around. What Cam's saying about wave clear as well, what a lot of ADCs are tending to do now is, instead of holding the waves like they used to in the past, because the push is so strong with the minions and how much damage they do to the tower, push the wave as quick as you can, then go farm something else on the map, then come back to your lane. And with someone like Grim, when compared to Sparrow or even Murdoch in this case, his clear is so much slower, which kind of forces him to stay in the lane whilst another carry can go and farm a white camp and come back in time. So I think that's the main reason behind Grim going into B.
Sweet. Bellica.
We placed Bellica in B because she has a strong kit with the drone and her ultimate and that for teamfights, but her lack of mobility and kind of a hard to hit stun that is very narrow just doesn't make her as good as heroes like Faye or Gadget.
Right, yeah. When you think of Faye's slow and how it reapplies, and it's quite a long line that covers a large distance, and then you compare that to someone like Bellica's CC, which is a line knockup, hard to hit on multiple people. It's just not as good as Faye, and then so for that reason, yeah, I agree with Talk.
Sweet.
Faye's line slow also stays on the ground, where if you don't heal Bellicas, you're fucked.
Yeah, Bellica's is a one-off knockup. Once you missed, you're done. Faze is still there on the ground for a few seconds after activating the ability.
Yep.
And we got Deca next.
So Deca, last patch and previous patches, she was considered as the go-to support. Currently now, though, with a lot of players building Blink Charm into their core builds, her containment fence, her ultimate, loses a lot of value. But we still put her into S because the rest of her kit is really important still. Like, she has a slow and an AoE slow at that. A pretty decent stun, although difficult to hit, still quite powerful. And she can also speed up minions and allied teammates. So she's still a very strong support, even though her ult has lost some value. Another thing is she has access to Satori Cloak because of the Order Affinity, which is ridiculously strong at the moment when people aren't building HP and they're still building armor.
Sweet, right. Iggy and Scorch.
Iggy is still, I'm still trying to figure out the build right now with him without Tainted Magic, but he's still a strong pick because he still brings the push. He's not as strong as he was before because when they try to kill your tower in solo lane at least with Radiant Mantle or Match Spore, you have to kind of work around it because they killed his turret, not tower. It killed his turret in like 2-3 seconds. So if you can build around it, then he still has the strong push. And since it's a minion wave meta, he's still strong because
he's a hero you can just AFK in lane with. Although, yeah, so that's right, he's not as strong as he was in team fights with Tainted. Just leaving an Iggy in a lane by himself to keep pushing, puts so much pressure on the enemy team. Like ridiculous amounts of pressure where they're always having to send someone over there to.
And all the games we're doing right now, like when I solo lane with him, I get like 15-18 minutes solo lane farm, and that's after that he becomes strong.
He's also just a great hero to have for orb, to burn down the orb.
That too.
And on top of that, you know, if you're turtling, if your team didn't get off to a great start and you still have an Iggy, it's very difficult for people to push. Especially in inhib. Towers not so much, but in inhib when Iggy just keeps clearing waves, it's pretty hard to push against.
That's where we putting him.
A for that reason, for those reasons mentioned. Like he's not as good as he was, obviously because of Tainted, but he's still pretty damn strong.
Tevrog?
Again, solo lane perspective, he's good because he has a CC, he has a dash, he can build match for the wave clear early, so he doesn't like lack wave clear, and he's just good in team fights. And he becomes like he's good early, but mid to late game he becomes very strong in my opinion.
Sev's also put into S because he does fill two roles. He's not just a solo laner. You can play him in jungle, and he's got a lot of damage. When he comes out of the jungle, his gank potential is great for the knockback, his root, his siphon, and the passive which gives him HP as well. So S rank for those two reasons, where he can play in solo and he can play in jungle.
And when you play him solo, you also have
like he hits hard. He has an in and an out. He has an AOE route. Like he's naturally tanky.
Very versatile.
Damage, even without building very tanky, and his ult can displace people completely.
His ult also have a very low cooldown, so that means you can fire it and wave clear with it in the beginning.
Yeah, in most fights, actually, Sev can not just initiate, but the fights are so prolonged now because of how the meta is and how people are building that he can usually get off two ults in a single team fight.
Greystone.
The same thing. Minions, towers, reduce damage. There's no scaling on the tower shots, so you can just die forever, and he has 2 lives.
Yeah.
Use him for the tower.
Get a Greystone with a black buff. Dive a tower, comes back up with. You have to kill Greystone twice. His wave clear isn't as bad as it was because of Mad Sports Ash now.
No Radiant Metal, but yeah, same effect.
Oh, you get yeah, because he's order, isn't he?
Order,
yeah,
growth.
not growth. Yeah,
but it's
Radiant Metal on him, yeah.
Like he can outpush mages if he knows how to go around their skill shots, and the fact that he can outpush a mage in a solo lane is pretty strong.
So he's an A or S?
A.
Right, cool.
He's not in S because he doesn't have the CC some other heroes do in the solo lane.
Howitzer.
We put Howitzer in B because he has a strong kit with his missile and slow. It's a very diverse kit. His landmine is very good for knocking people around, saving, initiating, all sorts of stuff. But he sort of lacks damage now that it's so easy to get out of his ultimate.
Yeah, with Blink Charms.
With Blink Charms, yeah.
Like before, how he would have been in a much higher tier because you could combo him with characters like Decker. But as mentioned before, because of Blink Charms and Howitzer's ultimate takes a few seconds to confirm the damage, and considering that the main source of the damage comes from the last set of rockets that fires, it's kind of difficult if enemies aren't locked down to secure like the big damage you want from him. So that's the main reason he's dropped down quite a bit. Muriel is S because, as mentioned, the push on minions, the pressure the minions put onto the enemy team is really important at the moment, and Muriel has a global ultimate. So a typical example of Muriel being such an important hero to have is towards the mid stages of the game, towards late game, where teams are grouping. One team is trying to siege a tower or is defending the tower. You can put Muriel in a side lane. She can just slowly keep pushing, build up the waves, get them towards an enemy structure, forcing a rotation out from the other team. And once that player's there to defend the structure, she just ults in and your team can engage 5v4. Her shields are super important when trying to take the orb. If you're trying to do it quickly, if you're low HP, the shields are a godsend. Her ultimate can change a team fight. You can use it offensively, you can use it defensively, and she also has access to a Satori cloak as well.
Murdoch.
Murdoch is in A. Murdoch has decent wave clear, which is necessary in the current meta. Like as we said before, you want to push the minions to the turret so you can do other stuff, like farm or roam. And Murdoch excels in the ranger role with his global pressure from his ultimate, and he also has high burst abilities like the shotgun or just the auto.
Which also shreds armor too.
And he is also good self-peel with the knockback and just the mines to zone or slow.
Murdoch's kit works really well against someone like Feng. When a Feng jumps on you and tries to ult you, he can displace the ultimate, causing it to miss. Narbash tries to ult you, you can displace him. Even Chimera on some occasions, when he jumps on you, can knock him back. So against fighters, he's really good. Not just that, the biggest thing Cam mentioned there is a global ultimate. Like a lot of Murdochs can sit in lane and farm and still earn additional money by just hitting a sniper across the map and getting a kill. Your rangers like Sparrow and Grim and TB don't have that luxury where they can still get gold from staying in the lane and getting a kill across the map. So, yeah.
Cool. Grux.
Murdoch's in A for those reasons. Grux, similar to Sev, like he's versatile in the solo and in the jungle, but mainly in the jungle because his gank potential is pretty ridiculous, right? You put a blink charm on him, you've got a dash, you're in, you're out. His pull is super strong at all stages of the game. His ult is great to secure the OP. I mean, he's a go-to jungler at the moment for those reasons. So
Yeah.
putting him in S.
His pull can change the team fight completely.
Yeah, you can pull multiple enemies at once, right? Like how many fights have we had where it looks like the fight's going in the enemy team's favor and Grux just comes in with a clutch pull, pulls 3 people, hits his bleed on 3 of them, and just completely changes the fight.
If he's not dead, you always gotta watch out for him.
Yeah. And he just makes laning a pain. Like Grux, even if you're a Murdoch with traps up, if you got wards, if he sneaks around him and just dashes into your lane and pulls you in, like you can have a tough time escaping. You're just always cautious of a Grux when he's in the jungle, more so than other junglers, in fact.
Gideon.
Alright, and like Gideon is a mage, probably the only real burst mage right now, with his meteor and his tether doing a lot of damage. It's a good teleport to... He can blink anywhere he wants and his team can follow up in it. And he has some sick ultimate, pulling people and doing loads of damage. We've put them in B, however, because the ultimate is really easily countered with a stun or a knock-up. But if enemy team does not have lots of CC, he's definitely A worthy, and it's a great asset.
Richter.
So whilst Richter has really good initiation and pick potential with his hook, unlike the other supports, he doesn't have access to viable pen cards, which does, in the mid to late game, depending on how people build, reduce his overall effectiveness. You're kind of pigeonholed into certain picks if you take Richter on support, because as I said, if the team starts to build armor, you have to have an order jungler or an order solo laner. So you do lock yourselves down in that sense to pick certain heroes in the jungle or solo lane. You'll be forced to go Greystone and Feng. On top of that, if your jungler or solo laner doesn't build a Satori cloak, you're gonna have a tough time dealing with the enemy armor. But even if they do, that's a lot of damage that's been taken away from those heroes who have to itemize like that for Richter to become effective. But as mentioned, he's still really good at initiating. If you pull someone, it's almost a guaranteed kill 9 times out of 10. The pull, the silence, the ult. So for those reasons, we're going to drop him into A.
He's good for tower sieging as well. Like if people want to clear waves to avoid the defender
Yeah.
tower, he's just there and ready to hook someone trying to.
Like you always have that at the back of your mind. If you're sieging or if you're defending, like if you're sieging, you can't stay too close to the edge, which does allow your minions to get in, does allow the players to get in as well, to take the tower. But if you're defending as well, you're the Richter pulling you in, because once the man advantage is on the opposing team, your push kind of comes to a halt there.
Just give me 2 seconds.
You know, one thing about Richter though as well, yeah, is You know, like the other support, someone like Muriel can speed herself up, Decker can jump, Steel can dash, Narbash can speed himself up. Richter can't do any of that.
Yeah, very mobile.
That's why people build Tail Blink or Stab Blink on him.
Remember when Shockwave was a thing? That's why I didn't really like picking Richter still, because once you're in, and you're kind of fucked. Like if your engagement doesn't go well, you're so fucked as Richter. Whereas everyone else, you still have a chance of getting out. But I suppose Blink changes that, but you have to get Blink Charm. You can't go. You Teleblink.
No, he's more for the random picks.
Yeah.
You Tail Blink in and try and get a hook, for example.
Alright,
Yeah, or just start the fight with a random.
What, Talk?
Like with Steel, like the ultimate of the Steel is like 90 seconds, right?
Short cooldown.
Yeah, and the blink is twice that. Like you could still bait blink charms with ult, disengage, and then engage again.
Do it again. So for that, because of that, I'll actually put Steel 1 tier higher than you.
That's something we haven't done, and it's something you can do.
Yeah, we haven't really played Steel, though. We're just trying to get better as a team with Muriel at the moment.
Yeah,
but then again, though, Top, it depends on the blink they buy.
And like the engage fill, and then you gotta like push all the waves again to set up for a fight again. And usually it takes a lot of time.
You wanna go for like the carry and the mid, right?
But what Cam's just said is also true, Top. So for example, so he goes, it's all well and good you try and bait out a blink charm, right? Because of the cooldown, so you get your ult back. But the way the meta is and how the waves push, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna spend time pushing the waves back out, so that if you go for another engagement, you're not paying for it. And by that time, the blink will come back off cooldown.
Right, Steel.
Gonna drop Steel into B here. He's lost a lot of value on his ultimate since the introduction of blink charms. Like when you compare him to someone like Decker, for example, yes, her ultimate has also lost value because of blink charms, but she has a high CC kit. Steel's kit is kind of awkward right now because you consider his Q, the knock-up, it's a great ability, but it has a wind-up time which can make it awkward to land. His shield is good in certain situations, but his right-click is almost like a useless ability. Like 9 times out of 10, the only time you'll see a Steel use it is if you're in a narrow path, or if you're on the brink of death and you're just trying to hold out a bit longer to buy some time. Tok made a good point about blink charms don't reduce Steel's viability that much, because what you could do, for example, is you try and bait out a blink charm, which is on 180 second cooldown. Steel's ult is on a relatively short cooldown, so you can bait out a blink charm and then look to re-engage again, because you still have like 90 seconds on the person's blink charm to come back up. But then Cam made another great point, is the way the waves are at the moment and how hard minions can push, the time it takes for you to set up a new engagement to try and take advantage of the blink charm being on cooldown. You also have to factor in where the waves are so that you don't pay for it if the engagement goes on longer than it should. Yeah, so we're gonna keep Steel in B for that reason.
Gadget.
Gadget is just an amazing hero. I had a hard time deciding where to place him, but we ended up with A instead of S. He's a great hero with loads of AoE damage, and
which provides a lot of utility to the team as well. The minions, you can speed them up, speed you up, and especially when you're fighting near objectives, she's got good secure on the fire giant with the ult. Like, how many times has Gadget stolen an orb from us, or we've stolen an orb with Gadget? When you fight,
my dad came in my room, but yeah, the speed gate is like amazing for either engaging or disengaging. The ult, as Marty said, is great for stealing prime. It can.
When you fight in small confined areas as well with Gadget's ult, like sometimes you look for a pick, right? When an enemy's doing a white camp, when they're in the jungle, like near a red buff, and the ult is so strong in those areas.
Yeah. She can just push from a safe long distance.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, because the range on her abilities is ridiculous as well.
Her wave clear is amazing. It's up there with like heroes like Iggy and Grox and his insta kill away.
And she's super safe too, right? Not only does she speed herself up, but when she has a blink charm as well, she's really difficult. She's such a slippery hero to try and kill now.
So would you not think about putting her in S? So you don't have any mid laners in S.
It's mainly for Top to decide, really.
It was hard for him.
Could be, man.
She could be. You're actually right. You think of like when a jungler tries to gank a gadget. Like how awkward is it for someone to try and gank gadget when she's got a speed boost and she's like kiting around, right, trying to dodge all the abilities. It's fucking awkward. It's awkward to try and land an ability on a gadget when
She
she's got a
also
speed
has
buff.
small hitbox.
Small hitbox too.
And how often has a gadget saved teammates by speeding them up?
Speeding them
running
up,
away?
Yeah, I've just dropped
Doesn't
gadget
she?
into S.
Yeah, definitely. S for a gadget.
Twin Blast.
Alright. Twin Blast is now currently placed in B. In the early game, Twin Blast compared to other carries is lower damage and is a lot of trouble just clearing the way fast and killing jungle camps in the early game. He comes online in the mid game and he's relatively safe with this jump and just a slow. And also in team fights is some burst with the attack speed and just a grenade. So he's relatively safe in the backline, but is much weaker in the early game than the others.
Faye.
Faye is also an amazing mage. She has the most CC of any mage. The slow, as we discussed previously, not only does it stay on the ground for several seconds, people can get the slow reapplied. The slow goes through walls, so if someone is trying to run away, you can catch them through the wall. Her ultimate is amazing. You can pull several people towards the center of her ultimate, and it's a great setup. Initiate.
See, it's a good initiator and a great counter initiator as well.
She's also a lot safer than you'd think. Even though she has no escape abilities, she's really good at picking people out of travel mode with the slow and the what's it called? The ability. It's called whatever. The one that gives you mana back. And yeah, she can just pick several people out of travel mode instantly and run away while keeping a safe distance.
It's got pretty good burst potential as well. Like if you combo all the abilities really quickly after you drop the ult, you can take off about 60% of a carry's HP.
Where's she been placed?
In A.
So Narbash.
Narbash, I've got a nickname for him. We call him the poor man's Decker.
So
He's
I
in-
actually have to go for a little bit. You guys carry on. You're doing great.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so we've put Narbash into A because his stun, great ability, really strong. It's actually quite a long stun at max rank as well. You can set up so many picks in lane. Like it's hard to lane against the Narbash if the Narbash has been really aggressive. He's also got the speed boost to force minions into tower quickly to get you and your carry out of tricky situations, or your entire team for that in that case. But two of his abilities are awkward, right? So you have his health regen, which is way too expensive. Like it's ridiculously expensive on mana. So in order for that to be a viable ability, you've got to kind of invest into a large base mana pool so that you can keep it ticking in a fight for it to be worthwhile. But as you do that, you detract from other important stats you could build into. So for example, you take away from the amount of HP you could build, the amount of armor you can build. His ult is awkward as well because displacements by Murdoch, Grim can move him out of range of your entire team. And then you have other forms of CC like a stun or even a slow. A stun can cancel it, a root can cancel it, and then you have someone like Decker who just completely counters the Narbash. So his ult's awkward to confirm. But one thing he does have going for him is that he also has access to a Satori cloak. So when combined, the Satori cloak, the speed boost, the stun, will drop him into tier A for that.
Feng Mao.
Feng, I know Leighton's a big fan of Feng in the jungle. We're going to put him into A for the following reasons. He can play solo and clear pretty well. He can play jungle, clear pretty well. His gank potential, whilst it's not as strong as someone like Sev or Grux because of his lack of hard CC, it's very awkward for a carry to fight against a Feng. Like if he gets a blink charm, he has two forms of initiation and he has an out as well, right? So if he blink charms in, then he can TP out. is a shield which can take the damage as he fights you. Once he slows you, it's very hard to get away from Fang, and his ult does huge amounts of damage in the early game. He's also a pretty underrated character for an orb secure. Like the best characters to secure an orb or to steal an orb are the ones who have high burst on an ultimate, and Fang fits into that role pretty well. So we'll drop him into A for those reasons.
Chimera.
I think so. It'd be better. See, now he's a master on Chimera.
What?
Yeah, you've got him to rank 10. I've barely played him.
And you already know why he's not good. He has too many. He's like, the problem about Chimera is he goes all in or nothing. And you can, like, I've seen people try to play him in solo, but I don't think it works. You should play him in the jungle and you go all in or nothing, but he has too many counters. Like CC just counters him, right? Like everything from Howitzer Mine to Decker Stun to silence from Richter, everything can stop him. And it's all.
Yeah, he's an all-in hero, right? A bit like Richter, but there is Blink Charm available for him too. Like I've seen players like Rustras use him quite well. Like although yes, as a team we disagree with Chimera being a top pick because you can stun him, you can slow him, and then he's kind of just standing there flailing his arms about, not able to do anything.
And there's better picks, pretty much.
Yeah, there are. For us, we think there are stronger picks in the jungle. But
I think he's very strong in like pop games, PvP, but in competitive, we just got better picks, at least for our team.
yeah, it's quite easy to shut him down too. Like if you pick around the Chimera so that you have characters that can cancel his abilities, he's not that great. He's actually almost a free kill for some people. Like we consider him a free kill when we play against Chimeras.
So you putting him in B for that.
Yeah, but the thing was, Chimera was ridiculously strong before because Satori Cloak wasn't out. Now that Satori's available on almost all the major supports, he certainly drops big time. Like from where people was considering him to put him in S, I'd say as a team we should drop him into B.
Kalari.
Strong. Weak early game because he has no wave clear. But strong mid to late game because of her global split push with the minion wave or minion meta as it is right now. And also mid to late game you can also get the what is called Scarab Claws. What the fuck is it called?
Scourging Tails.
No. The split push item. Thunder Cleaver, that's the one. That's the only hero I use Thunder Cleaver on for mid to late game because you can wave clear almost the same way as you would.
Right, so
the
she's because Kalari is the global, she's similar to what she brings to what Muriel has, sorry. Muriel can also apply pressure, same as Kalari. Kalari can keep pushing waves, and when someone's forced to rotate to stop the minions from taking whatever structure they've reached, she can simply ult across and then you turn the fight into a 5v4. Although Kalari does suffer if there's a Muriel on the other team. You put a Muriel, the advantage that Kalari has is kind of dropped, because if Kalari wants to meet up into the fight, she has to initiate. Muriel can global out onto a teammate and get into a safe spot. Kalari, on the other hand, has to aggressively teleport.
So where are we putting her?
I'll drop Kalari into A for that, simply because she does struggle early, but if you can get her out of early, she becomes a demon late. Really hard to deal with Kalari.
So we've got Sparrow.
So Sparrow is like the best wave clear of all the carries. Although she does have weaknesses, like she has no mobility or self-heal. Although Blink Charm does help here. And Sparrow has no burst damage. Her damage comes from the stacks, which you need a couple seconds to get her damage online. But the current meta is a tank meta, so the fights will last longer, so she has more time to get her stacks up, and she does a lot of damage then. And because her damage comes from her stacks, she is able to build more tanky too. And with the current orb, she just shreds the orb.
Yeah, she's great for taking the orb and the stacks.
And that's why she's in A.
Sweet. And then finally,
One thing to note is the tier list. Like, we've decided where these heroes go dependent on their priority for when we pick them. So SS are the heroes that you're almost always going to ban, or you're always going to pick first. Same with S. And then A are the heroes that they're all viable. They can all work well. So you would pick any of these heroes if they're available. B are more of those pocket picks that you just go onto when nothing else is available. So, for example, if a carry's been banned and a team took 2 ADCs, right, you would fall back onto Twin or Grim. We haven't put any heroes in C or below because honestly, most of the heroes are in a good spot. We think the majority of them are viable, with only a select few being like very high priority. You've got to pick this hero, you've got to ban this hero because they're just too strong in the current meta.
Then finally we got Quang, who we're just going to place in the new box for now. And we'll change that every time a new hero comes out and we do the next list and the video for it. We'll then rate him and put the new hero in the new box.
Yeah, players are still trying to figure out what works best on Quang.
Yeah.
In which position he works well, like how he can impact a team fight and so on. There's still a lot to be learned with Quang. So it'd just be daft for us to put him into a tier at this moment in time.
Plus on him so far is he has a CC and he can build Satori. That's 2 pluses so far. That's what it is.
Cool. So that's everyone placed. We hope this has been a big help. We're going to try and do this. We're not going to do this every week because, you know, there might be very minor changes that don't really affect anything. But when a new bigger update comes out, we'll try and do this and get it out for you guys so we can help you as best we can. So thanks for watching. You got anything else to say, guys, before we go?
I just want to say in future videos, you know, once we get used to this format, it should be a lot more clearer and concise. Our reasons and explanations. Like, we might have waffled on a little bit, but this is the first time we've done this, so bear with us.
Cool. Right. All good?
Yep.
Cool. Cheers, guys.